All right, welcome to the first edition of the NY versus MA podcast. Here with me, we got Robbie and Devon. How you guys doing?
Oh, Robbie, I was gonna let you go first, but no, I'm doing good. Just sitting down. Obviously, we're recording this on a Sunday afternoon, watching Robbie's Giants get absolutely obliterated right now, so can't complain. But yeah,
Yeah, it's a tough day, but hey, the Giants are playing their backup quarterback, and we're in the playoffs, so
Yeah,
happy
pour,
too, bud.
pour one out for Ben DiNucci.
Yeah,
Cowboys. That's the backup QB we want.
now it's just selling hats in Dallas. He does. So he's got his own hat company with a D upside down D. Backwards Dallas. Yep, that's what he's doing.
nice.
So, washed up.
That's incredible.
One career start, 3 fumbles. What a guy.
Guess we'll start the podcast off. I'm in the presence of greatness right now. I'd like to congratulate both Devon on his redraft championship and Robbie on your dynasty championship. That's 2 champs on the pod to start. That's a hell of a cast.
I actually forgot about. I think once I got knocked out of the Dynasty playoffs, I'll be honest with you, paid no attention to the finals. I boycotted the lottery itself. The Big Mac era has been on vacation, to say the least.
He's been on vacation in real life too.
That's true.
Yeah, I did the same thing with redraft. As soon as I was out, and absolutely heart crushing the fact that I missed out on the playoffs by half a point. Killer. So I boycotted the playoffs, and congrats to Devon on winning. But my heart and soul was in Dynasty, and 178 points against the leading scorer in the league, knocking him out. Hey, great day. And then odd week last week, but taking the championship home and surviving, and being able to boycott David and still not paying out his winnings is even better.
You love lording, and if I've learned anything from our boy Tom O'Hara, a tea break's not always a bad thing, and then you come back bigger, stronger than ever. All right, we're gonna kick this pod off. We're gonna dive into some dynasty stuff since Robbie, you're here. That's what we were just talking about. Robbie, you took me down in the championship this year after I don't think either of us were the favorites going into the playoffs, right?
No, going into the season, I had multiple people tell me that the trades I made were bad for me, and I would barely make the playoffs. I was a borderline playoff team. Came in hot to the playoffs and kind of continued the streak. Put up 3 straight weeks of 160 points, 155, 160 points plus, and kind of rolled on from there.
Yeah, the crazy thing is, even before this season, I don't think any of us even knew who Brock Purdy was. Next thing you know, Big Cock Brock's leading you into the ship. You won 5 straight to close out the year. Yep, second only to Frank. Frank went 13-1 in the regular season. A couple of goats.
But here's the thing about Frank's team, though. Frank's team won so many of the. I looked it up. He won 8 games, scoring less than 120 points. That is ridiculous. Like, he got lucky the weeks that even the top teams had. The bad weeks, Frank happened to be playing them. Frank's team is the Minnesota Vikings of this playoffs. It was just so overrated and will get absolutely bounced in the first or second round.
Oh, so he's the Dallas Cowboys?
The Frank slander. Yeah. I think, too, like, the interesting thing about Frank's team, like Robbie said, on top of the fact that his team really wasn't scoring points, if you take the fact that Will traded Tom Brady away for a fourth round pick, Frank's going the whole entire season with just one quarterback in Patrick Mahomes. He's not playing the whole entire season with 2 quarterbacks like everyone else was.
I mean, I played the finals with Andy Dalton and Tyler Huntley. I don't think that counts. It's not even one quarterback combined.
So you're playing with 0 quarterbacks. So.
But no, the rest of Frankie's team was real nice with Mahomes, Kenneth Walker, Ramondre, Adams, Evans, Waddle. But yeah, I want to circle back, Robbie. You mentioned trades you got roasted for there. I think the marquee one was that Josh Jacobs blockbuster. Is that correct?
Yeah, there were 2. I got roasted for both the Jared Goff and the Josh Jacobs trade.
Which the Jared Goff trade was, you sent me your second rounder this year, and then your second and third rounders next year, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Is that correct?
And yes, it might have been an overpay, but at the time, I had 3 quarterbacks on the roster, 4 quarterbacks. No, 3 because I'd already traded with with Will. But I had 3 quarterbacks on the roster. I had Joe Burrow, solid starting quarterback, every week starter, no matter what. Then I had Trevor Lawrence, who at the time the Jags were 3-7 and were barely putting up any points. And then I had the man, the myth, the legend that is Daniel Jones, who some weeks would show up and get me 30 points and other weeks would get 10. So I needed another quarterback that was consistently better and consistently putting in numbers. And I thought Jared Goff was the perfect middle ground where I wouldn't have to give up a lot of big capital. I could just give up a couple second rounders, and it really ended up working out for me and boosted me. Jared Goff at home is another animal. You sit him on weeks he's away from home, and then when the Lions are at home, you put Jared Goff in your starting lineup and you sleep well at night.
Yeah, so that was a nice trade. Ended up really helping you when you're facing me in the finals, and I'm starting, literal bums at quarterback.
Yeah, it helped that the team I got him from actually needed him in the end.
In hindsight,
it really helped. At the time, we didn't know you had Lamar, so we had no idea. But the fact that in the end your lack of a quarterback really cost you really benefited me being the person you played in the final.
Oh, absolutely. End of the day, I don't think it would have mattered given the discrepancy in points. But I do want to touch on this Ridley Jacobs trade, and I'll let Dev start. Basically, this Ridley Jacobs trade, it's Robbie, you got Calvin Ridley, who we haven't seen anything from him yet. That's still an untapped potential there.
I got big plans for Calvin Ridley.
Okay.
Big plans.
Calvin Ridley, Josh Jacobs.
I deem him as, so I currently have Burrow and T. Higgins.
Yep.
I deem the next combo to be Trevor Lawrence and Calvin Ridley. That's going to be a combo that's going to be amazing.
That's a fun stack. All right, here's the
I'm trying to do that.
Yep. Here's the whole trade. Whole trade was Ridley, Jacobs, a 2024 third rounder from Willie, and a 2025 second rounder from Willie. And you sent back Mariota, who probably doesn't have a job next year.
God.
Tyquan Thornton, who is fast, but his hamstrings are made of paper mache. Awful. A 2024 first and a 2025 first, which the way your team's looking, those are probably late firsts. Dev, what were your thoughts at the time, and what were your thoughts now?
I also do want to let you know I flipped that third rounder for David Njoku. So in the end, who was one of the most improved tight ends of the season too. So in the end, that trade ended up being Calvin Ridley, Josh Jacobs, and David Njoku for Tyquan Thornton, Marcus Mariota, and 2 first rounders. So
I mean, you just don't know. I mean, obviously, the optimist in me would like to say, okay, 2024, 2025 first round, you never know what you're going to end up with going into that draft. There's some pretty good guys that you can probably get even late in the first round. But just face value, this is, every single offseason I go through and I do some of the worst trades that we've seen in Dynasty specifically. And I think this is going to go down as an all-time stinger for Willie, unfortunately. Robbie tugged at his heartstrings. He knew that he liked Marcus Mariota. I had no idea who Thornton was throughout the whole entire season and probably still don't know who he is. Josh Jacobs, finishes, I think, RB1, RB2, RB3.
He won the rushing title in the NFL.
He had the most scrimmage yards, and I think Henry was actually RB1.
RB3,
but I think Jacobs might have been RB3.
Yep. RB3. Player 10 overall.
And he didn't even play.
Yeah, so that was a great trade. And, part of fantasy football and part of what makes our league great is, not just the trades, but the feedback that you get from everybody else about the trades. So being able to roast Willie for a bad trade is always, a good time for everybody else.
So the fascinating thing with that trade is, and we've had a handful of these trades over 2.5 seasons, 2 seasons and an off season before then, that were just widely, people are getting ripped on for making these trades at the time. The other ones that come to mind is just, being ripped apart at the time, where the Owen trading Aaron Rodgers and that whole Aaron Rodgers, Gabe Davis, picks flying around, that just mega deal he was kind of getting ripped at the time for that, which that one didn't really work out very well from him in terms of this season with him missing playoffs. And the other one being the Lamar Jackson and me and Des trade.
Yeah, as I said, the infamous Lamar Jackson for Sam Darnold trade.
And Jalen Reagor.
Yeah.
But the difference with this one here is Robbie was the one getting ripped for making this trade at the time. I think I ripped him. You definitely said some snarky things, Dev. And I think we were all pretty united in that. That was a horrible trade for Robbie, we thought at the time. He stuck with his guns. He got his guy. And it paid off, honestly, bigger than I think even Robbie could have dreamed of.
Yeah, I had no plans. Yeah. I thought I could be contending, make the playoffs, maybe make a run. There was no part of me thought this was the year I was going to win. But my team all came together, and this trade was definitely a crucial part of that. And Josh Jacobs, he outshone even what I could have expected from him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he pretty much produced like we all thought Najee might. Those Bama running backs just kind of switched bodies.
Najee's just Trent Richardson 2.0.
Oh my god. Najee Harris, the reason I won that.
Yep.
Did you see that comparison though? With I saw a stat on, of course, Twitter of all places, but I saw that stat. It was like the only person with the same amount of decline from one year to the next was Trent Richardson, and Najee Harris was following in his trend. So that's where my comparison comes from. It's just not another one of my trolling moments.
It's too easy. Too easy to compare the plotting Alabama running backs.
Yeah, one of those stats. It was like the yards per carry. The only person to average less yards per carry from one year to the next was Trent Richardson, and Najee Harris was in his company. So.
Oh no, that's not where you want to be. Not where you want to be at all. All right, so moving forward, sticking with Dynasty for a little bit. Which teams, we can do a full power ranking, we can just kind of throw some teams out there, talk about some of the guys, not necessarily the, guys who are at the top of the standings this past year. Who do we think has the best, young core moving forward, draft picks included?
I would say for me, I think one of the obvious answers, I think what's interesting about Dynasty is Ray sort of went in with the mentality of, okay, this isn't a redraft league. I'm specifically going to target younger players that might not pan out until year 2 or 3. I really like his wide receiver core of Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, and Devontae Smith. You get Mark Andrews as tight end. You get Dalvin Cook. The problem for him is he doesn't really have any sort of super flex, and he sort of tried to address that by adding, I think he added Derek Carr preseason, right?
Did, yeah.
Yep.
But ultimately, Derek Carr didn't pan out. But I had Jimmy and Ray as the 2 preseason favorites because they were just so gung-ho about trading and wanting to win now. And Ray's ultimate downfall is the fact that his quarterbacks are starting to age a little bit or getting thrown on the back burner. I mean, he's got Aaron Rodgers getting up there in age. He's got Ryan Tannehill, on IR. He's got Derek Carr, who seemingly is going to be playing for a different team. And then he's got Jordan Love, and who knows if he's going to be the future of the Green Bay Packers.
I agree. I could not agree more.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just one of those things. It's like he sold out to try and the problem was, so he came into, as Devon said, this year. I'm gonna go. With the draft, it's like I've gone young, and then realized he had a chance to win, and then got rid of those pieces, a couple of those pieces, and kind of sold his soul a little bit for this year. And then injuries and underperformances meant he really struggled. So you gotta hope that if Aaron Rodgers leaves, he's kind of got his replacement in Jordan Love, and hopefully that'll work out for him. But other than his wide receivers, and obviously Jonathan Taylor's not that old either, but that he's got a good core, but his quarterback situation is very worrying.
I think he has enough capital and receivers, and if Javonte Williams comes back healthy, he's basically set at 2 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end with Mark Andrews.
I really think, but if anything, this year has shown is that you need 2 quarterbacks.
You need 3
at least. 3 minimum. You need 3 quarterbacks minimum to really compete in this league. And although Jimmy did it without it, because the rest of his team is quite stacked, because he went a bit all in for this year.
I did.
And obviously with Lamar, you would have stood a better chance. But it really showed that 3 quarterbacks is kind of a necessity in this league, and the teams that have those are kind of set up for a better position, which is why I made the trade for Jared Goff, and I made sure that even though my quarterbacks are young, I have 4 quarterbacks all under the age of 27, so it kind of gives me the opportunity that I also this year I just looked it up. I have 4 of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league, fantasy points wise.
Yeah, go ahead, Dev.
It's interesting too. Like, so during the season, I was receiving a couple of different trade offers for Jalen Hurts, just because there's a lot of win now teams that really needed that second quarterback or that QB1 in order to contend for a championship. But for a team like me that has Josh Allen and Jalen Hurts, like, I wasn't willing to even like listen to trade offers, because if I trade one of those guys, then all of a sudden you saw what happened to me in the playoffs with Jalen Hurts being benched in week 16, 17. I wasn't able to start him, so I had to go ahead with Mac Jones to ultimately sort of let me down.
Yeah, and why would you ever think about trading any of them?
Just the return value would be insane for someone like Jalen Hurts, I think. But even then, like, I'm not interested. I'm also a win now team. My team's a little bit older.
I traded 3 first-round picks for Trevor Lawrence. I have no idea, 5 first-round picks for Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen?
Josh Allen would be insane. He's probably, I would say Josh Allen is probably, would you say Josh Allen might be the player that you get the most return on?
It's him or Mahomes. It's him, Mahomes, and I think like the next like 3 people combined don't add up to like, it's basically all the assets, and even then it's like,
and I'd still lean Allen probably over Mahomes for dynasty wise for our league, just because of those rushing yards.
It's a give and a take on those. With the rushing yards are great, the rushing touchdowns, that brings up the floor theoretically for Lamar too. It also raises your injury risk, and
right,
he will helicopter through people in 15-degree weather. That's kind of scary for your injury risk. But while we're stunting on Owen and reminding him that he does not have Josh Allen, he could have had Josh Allen.
What a terrible.
We do need to talk about this Ray Owen trade. 1 season later, I fundamentally don't really understand where either side was going with it. So Owen received Julio Jones, pretty much a downgrade in value from the beginning of the year. This trade went through September 1st. Okay, so that's the beginning of the season. He got Jamal Williams, actually a great get there. He had a hell of a season and really helped Owen's team. Baker Mayfield, who it's been an absolute roller coaster. I mean, it's been up, it's been down, it's kind of climbing back up, I think, maybe.
We're up right now, yeah. He's currently beating the Seahawks. So.
Yeah, hey. And he got Gabe Davis, who started off really hot and then cooled off a bit, I think. But that's a good get. But he gave up Devonta Smith. So, I mean, Davis, Smith, I think you probably lean Smith, but that's a wash-ish, right?
Yeah.
He gave up Devonta Smith, Mike Davis, irrelevant. Second rounder this year, which that's actually a mid-second, early to mid-second, with Owen missing playoffs, and Rodgers. So I have no idea who won this trade, in all honesty, in hindsight, like 1 year later.
It's kind of a wow.
I still probably would go. Ray was the one that got Rodgers, right?
Rodgers.
So I'd probably still lean. Yep. Yeah, I'd probably still lean Ray's side personally, just because, like you said, Gabe Davis sort of fizzled out, and aside from that, not a lot of intrigue. But yeah, it's close.
It's kind of a mess, and I don't even know if Rodgers would have helped more than, like, would Rodgers even have gotten Owen into the playoffs? I don't know.
I think his team has to be the biggest disappointment of the year.
Ray's or Owens?
Owens' team. To me.
Both.
Not making the playoffs with the core team he has.
Agreed.
Is very disappointing for me. Especially even like Dameon Pierce is a great pick. Like yes, he got hurt at the end of the year, but like I'm looking at his roster, he's got like realistically his 2 starting running backs were McCaffrey, David Montgomery's the starting running back in Chicago. I know Justin Fields kind of takes away some of those carries, but David Montgomery's a solid starter. You got Dameon Pierce, who for a majority of this year was a very good running back, and then Stephon Diggs
Well, the running back too, Robbie, Jamal Williams led the league in rushing touchdowns.
And and then Aaron Jones, you got 4 great running backs on your roster. You got his quarterbacks could use a lot of work, but Mike Williams had a good year. Stephon Diggs had a good year. Adam Thielen's getting old, and don't even get me started on Minnesota and their issues. But Kirk Cousins had a good year statistically.
Yeah, his team is pretty clearly one of the 5 best teams in the league. He was I think it was a product of, this is a good case study for this. He was a product of there being so many, there was 5 legitimately tanking teams that just wanted to sell their assets off. They didn't want to win any games. They handed Willie enough wins at the beginning of the year. Willie starting Calvin Austin last week and Melvin Gordon.
Yeah.
Bill's team is the biggest overachiever of the year. And Owen was the biggest underachiever.
Owen, or I would even argue Ray was one of the biggest underachievers. Partially, a lot of that's injury related, but the team Ray has is he has 6, top 2 round picks in a dynasty startup.
But he made the playoffs. To me, the biggest failure of Owen is the fact he didn't even give himself a chance to win the league.
And
he didn't make the playoffs.
Touching on that Dameon Pierce you mentioned, Owen actually traded for Dameon Pierce during this season. That's the trade where he sent Junior his first round pick this year.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So
to me, that's a fair value.
Beginning of the year.
Depends on what Junior's going to do with it, but Dameon Pierce is going to be the running back in Houston for at least for another 3 years.
Unless they draft bisexual Robin.
True.
But yeah, I agree. That's a decent value for Pierce.
There's no way they're going to draft. There's no way.
I don't know. That team has too many holes.
Running back's the last thing they need to address.
Quarterback, number 1 pick. They got to draft a quarterback and then go fix your defense. Go fix your offensive line. Go get some weapons for what should be Bryce Young, in my opinion. Go draft Bryce Young. Go get yourself a weapon. Go get. Well, I guess John Mechie's coming back, so hopefully that'll help him. But they need help all over. Their last thing is they already have a great running back. Why would you go add another running back?
No, I agree.
I guess that's the Jags formula, and it worked out for them.
Yep.
They had James Robinson, who was a solid starter, and they saw Travis Etienne, the chemistry he had with Trevor Lawrence, and then Robinson was kind of surplus to requirements, but I don't see a reason why you would be a first rounder and you would take Robinson when you have so many other holes that need to be filled and you have a solid starter in Dameon Pierce.
Yeah, wholly agreed there. Is there any team that missed the playoffs? We'll say not Owen withstanding. I think we'd all pick Owen. Any of those other teams that you think makes the playoffs next year?
David.
Oh God. Out of all of them, you gotta think David's the only one that's really putting
it depends on what Junior does with all those picks.
Right. Yep. 3 first rounders. Yeah.
No, but it's whether or not he gets it right.
Right.
Some rookies are going to blossom in a few years. Some rookies are good to start. You can't really rely on having that many rookies.
Yeah.
If Trey Lance comes back and is the starter in San Francisco, David's got to be thought of as a playoff team.
Yeah, I think a lot of these teams, it's injury dependent. It's obviously we'll have some people emerging, but getting a Trey Lance back would be so big. David also had 15 wide receivers out last week.
He also has, just one of those things. It's got to be, and then the other one is Tom.
Just gonna mention Tom's team. If Deshaun Watson comes back after a full off season and looks any better, I think he's in a good position with Herbert and Deshaun Watson. I think A.J. Dillon's going to start taking more reps as well.
A.J. Brown's on that team.
Yep, A.J. Brown's been
Deontay
awesome.
Johnson, yeah.
He's got a good core, and there's some part of me that if Tom can get Claypool, hopefully we'll an off season with Fields. I keep saying Hurts. They remind me of each other. But another off season with Fields. Hopefully Claypool comes back, and it's maybe one team and wide receiver team needy trade team trades for Elijah Moore, and he gets a fresh start.
Elijah Moore, start. Eli Mitchell, fresh start.
He's got some good talent. Elijah Moore's a good player. He's just the Jets are kind of a mess.
And
Other than Garrett Wilson, they're kind of a bit of a mess.
Tommy would not let us hear the end of it if we don't mention Moon Man for him too. With down there on IR, he's got the Moon Man. Moon Man looked pretty good this year. The way Fields is starting to break out a bit, I would think that at least one of Moon Man or Claypool can emerge and contribute for Tom. That's a team,
and maybe even Sky Moore.
Yeah.
We didn't have a great year.
Maybe.
But maybe another off season where they really start going on. But I struggle to see that one, but it's an outside chance that I really think you can start building.
It is. The upside's there.
I know David's going to be – I mean, Russell Wilson is hopefully Russell Wilson is semi back next year. He's got to have a better year. There's no doubt in my mind he's got to have a better year. Michael Thomas is back, and although he hasn't really played in 3 years or 2 years or however long it's been, it feels like it's been forever.
Since COVID.
Yeah, and then he's going to add Bijan Robinson. You got Swift Robinson and ETN. That's as good a running back combo as you can imagine. Wan'Dale Robinson, I think, is going to have a breakout year in the slot if he can be healthy for the Giants. Freiermuth, him and Kenny have shown great promise.
The Muth is loose.
David's team, I thought David's team this year would have been a playoff team, but he decided quickly to tank and really try and get these picks for this year. Credit to him. He started the year with championship aspirations. Realized he probably would have been a mid table team, and decided time to tank and sold off a few assets and made some strategic decisions on who to start what week, and ended up getting the first overall pick. So
he tanked well.
Yeah,
tanked well. I do want to point out, Robbie,
what player he wanted. So.
Here in America, we call them just the standings, not the table. But last question on Dynasty before we switch gears and shift over to redraft and some redraft festivities. I'm looking at this draft order. Looking at a lot of teams have big off seasons coming up. I'll read the draft order real quick. We'll do a draft pod another time, but. Draft order, you got David picks first, Junior second, Tom third, Des 4, Papa 5, Junior 6, Ray 7, Junior 8, Papa 9, David 10, Des 11, David 12. So that's a lot of David, a lot of Junior in there. That's your draft order. That's what's coming up in the first round. Do you guys have multiple or any bold predictions for this offseason specifically? Can be specifically related to the draft or just bold predictions in general. One team you think blows it up, one team whatever it can be.
If I'm David, go ahead, Robert.
Oh, you go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, if I'm David, I have the number 10 pick. I have the number 12 pick. If I'm David, I'm looking at a way to try to package those two picks if there's not one prospect he likes at the 10 spot. So I bet you there would be someone that would trade some sort of veteran caliber player that can help David in a win-now situation, because David's going to use that number 1 pick on a quarterback, it seems like, just because he's going to be down to just...
he's committed to using the number 1 overall pick on a running back.
I mean, he already has Swift and ETN. He's down to Russell Wilson and Jacoby Brissett, Mitch Trubisky. He needs Trey Lance to be the starter again.
No, but you know what I think he should do? He should take the 10 and the 12, try and trade up to like a 5 or a 6.
And grab a quarterback.
Grab a quarterback. But you're going to get... He takes Bijan Robinson 1. Who's got the second pick?
Second pick is, I believe, Junior.
Junior needs a quarterback. To me, Bryce Young is the one you take.
Yeah.
You take Bryce Young. Third overall is Dez. Dez.
Third is Tom. Fourth is Dez.
Tom doesn't need a quarterback. He might take one, but I don't see Tom needing a quarterback.
I wouldn't be shocked. Tom's been known to be a wild card.
To me, there should be minimum three quarterbacks taken in the first round. Stroud, Bryce Young, and Will Levis will all be first-round picks in the NFL draft, and should all be high first-round picks in our Dynasty draft.
Yeah.
I saw some inklings of there might be a fourth quarterback who's coming up the rankings. from Stanford. I can't remember his name.
Oh, I don't know his name, but I remember seeing some buzz around that guy.
He's the new what would be like the Mitch Trubisky and the Daniel Jones, the guy from the school, from a losing school, who comes in but has got all the measurables and all the arm talent and everything.
I talk about Tanner McKee, Robbie.
Tanner McKee, yep.
Yep. Robbie, you have a bold prediction for this offseason?
Bold prediction for this offseason? I think. Come back to me. I got a couple in my brain, and I'm
all right.
trying
parse one out. I'm gonna say I think we see unprecedented quarterback movement. I think similar to what we talked about, and this could go either way with how much we've talked about QB depth, how much we've seen, how much having multiple good QBs go. There could be a premium placed on them. Everyone wants to, hold on to their guns, but I wouldn't be shocked to see some big overpays for some, Kirk Cousins type quarterbacks.
Also predicting that Willie this season, he finished the season 9-5. I think you're going to flip those numbers around by the time we're talking next year. I think he's going to finish the next season 5-9 based off of his team.
I'll take the under.
He's got Kelsey, he's got Cooper, he's got a couple nice pieces, but he's starting Zach Wilson, Jimmy Garoppolo, Teddy Bridgewater, Marcus Mariota, and Kenny Pickett, and Sam Howell as his quarterbacks. And he doesn't have a pick until the 4th round this year.
I would go 4 wins. That's kind of my over/under on Will.
Yeah, he's got to go back. Got to go back to tanking.
Honestly, I'd take the under. I think we've got a couple teams here. This team hasn't even been mentioned this year, but I think another team that could make a push, possibly if they can get a quarterback, it would be Papa Withers. Needs another quarterback. Davis Mills is not going to be starting next year.
Yeah.
If he can get another quarterback, he's got Nick Chubb, who consistently puts in great numbers. Najee Harris, Pittsburgh's got to sort out their offensive line. I see an uptick for Najee Harris. He's gonna boom. Marquise Brown, I can see him having a bounce back year when Kyler's back. Christian Watson showing it now. Fabian Moreau. Papa lacks a bit of depth, but I can see him being a borderline playoff team.
Going on
somebody who really has struggled. I think we're going to see a lot of change on the 6 playoff teams this year. I think only three will make it back.
Ooh, that's a good bold. That's a good bold prediction. So that means
only 3 of the 6 playoff teams from this year will be back.
Given the strength of the 3
I
of our teams,
one of them.
Yeah, just 3 of us and Frankie. That's 4 very good, and Ray.
My guess is Owen will make the playoffs. David will make the playoffs, and Tom will make the playoffs.
Ooh.
Narrowly missing out will be Papa. Ray, I think Ray will miss the playoffs, and I think Frank.
All right, that's the hot take of the episode right there, I think. Just building on mine, in terms of action, I just like also to say, looking at Willie's team, I don't think Kelsey or Henry are on his team come week 1 next year.
Yeah, I was going to say at least one of them are probably gone.
Yep.
No, the issue is with Will is he's so afraid of what everyone's going to say. He will keep them on his team because he's so afraid to be, I'm going to tank. He's not going to want to tank.
So they'll be on Devon's team next year?
I can see Will crippling himself for the next few years if he doesn't stop listening to what David has to say and what everyone else is chirping at him in the chat and actually do what's best for his team.
I'm glad someone listens to David.
His team's in a terrible position, and he needs to go tank for 2 years.
Yeah.
Create some picks. You can go trade Travis Kelce to a win-now team. You can get at least a first-round pick, maybe 2. Trade Derrick Henry, you get a first-round pick. Go into next year, I think Willie should have a minimum of 3 to 4 first-round picks next year. That's what he needs, and he needs to sell for this year, for next year and the year after, a total of 5 first-round picks in the next 2 years. That's what Will needs, and that's what Will should do. Whether or not he's going to let his ego of getting chirped at in the group chat overwhelm him to do that.
What were those trades that Will did last offseason where he traded
Let me look.
away Dalvin Cook and then a day later traded for Derrick Henry?
Oh well,
It's because he.
the
Well, no,
McCaffrey, the
it all
McCaffrey trade.
happens. Yeah, it all happens because he trades away what would deemed his best player.
Like he was selling and then he was buying. It was like a very weird turn of events.
Yeah. Well, he gets chirped at in the group chat and go, "Oh, did I make a bad decision? Like, should I have done this?" And then he goes and salvages it and go, "You know what? I'm going to go get Derrick Henry, and then they're not going to laugh at me now because now I have the best player."
See, like and I know what he's gonna say when he listens to this. He's gonna say that Devon was the one to tell me to do the Derrick Henry trade. I wholeheartedly stand by that. I advised him to take that Derrick Henry trade, and Derrick Henry ended up as the RB1 on the season.
Just to interject with the trade here, that was Derrick Henry for Brandon Ayuk and a 23 first rounder.
Yeah,
it's not a bad trade.
Not a bad trade at all.
It's not bad at all.
And I can't stress enough. I think the dynasty as a whole and the way some people look at it are way too bipolar. It's just two extremes. Either you have to be all on selling all of your assets, basically what Junior did this season, or you need to be all the way in, trade all your assets, which I guess is kind of what I did this year outside of the Jared Goff trade. But I think the reality is sometimes you just need to go after the value. Like, even though I was competing, I traded Goff for future assets because I think that's the best long-term move to sustain a competitive team.
By the way, Derrick Henry was running back 4 for the year.
Yeah, that was a good trade for Will. I stand by that as well.
But he did miss a game, so
yeah.
But McCaffrey ended up being running back 1.
Did he really?
Yeah,
I mean,
he beat
PPR.
Saquon out by 3 points.
Wow.
All of which they've all missed a game. Nick Chubb was in 3rd, and he played. I believe Nick Chubb played every game. But
all right, Robbie, I think it's time for your least favorite part of the podcast. I think it's time for the part where we say nice things about Devon.
Yeah.
Let's talk about redraft. Sacco Nation, baby, let's ride.
Did not lose. I mean, listen. I'll say this. I was in a very, very dark place after 2 weeks, willing to trade Derrick Henry, willing to trade CeeDee Lamb for pennies and crumbs, pretty much. And
in my DMs.
I mean, to rip off 14 straight wins to the championship. I'm not sure there was a worst case scenario as Robbie is the treasurer of the redraft league, having David and I both in the finals next to each other.
And Ray getting 3rd
place. Yeah, could not have a scenario for him.
In the places of me having to give money to are those 3. Don't get me wrong, Ray. I love Ray. Ray always hyping up his team is killing me. David is the most obnoxious player in this group. When it comes to winning, he is insufferable. And then, of course, the bandwagon Cowboy Laker fan. The man who is the ultimate troll.
I'm the ultimate troll.
And then the man in the beginning of the year who was so down bad about his team. The kid always makes the playoffs, too. It's one of those teams, like, finally, we're going to have a year where Papa's bad and Devon is bad. Finally, one of these years, like, great. We're going to see a couple of these teams who are always terrible, like a couple of these teams who are never playoff teams. They're going to make the playoffs. We're going to have a new winner. It's going to be something great, kind of a change of scenery. And then just out of nowhere rattles off 14 straight wins. Mr. Down Bad was so sad, so pitiful, and I was loving every second of it. And then suddenly, 1 win turned into 2, 2 turned into 5, and then it was 14 and winning the title. Just so sad, and it hurt me inside. It truly did. Just having to watch this happen. Meanwhile, David's good, and David's chirping, "Oh, I'm going to be the winner, man. I'm so good. Like, my team's stacked. Go A.J. Brown." And you know what makes it even worse is the Cowboys players and the Eagles players are the reason that these teams are winning.
Oh, Dak.
That just makes it even worse. Never Dak. Dak was awful this year.
I mean, it was better than my alternative, which was Russell Wilson for the first 2 weeks.
Let's ride.
Yeah, I have to say, you drafted pretty poorly this year. This was one of your worst.
Oh, no. I mean, my first 2 picks. My first 2 picks were Derrick Henry at number 7, and then CeeDee Lamb on the way back. I forget who my number 3 pick was.
You missed on quite a few, especially on quarterback. But this shows how different this league is from the other league. Is Dynasty, you're reliant. You have to have a good quarterback. You don't need a good quarterback in in redraft, because it's a one quarterback league and the way the points are set up, you don't need crazy points to really coming out of your quarterback to really compete. It's just one of those things where you got hot at the right time. And you really moved. Your best pick was Josh Jacobs in the 4th round by far.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. I had Henry, Lamb, Montgomery, Jacobs, Metcalf.
You missed out on your your 1, 2. So Montgomery's an okay pick. I wouldn't say he was exceptional this year. Your running backs, you hit it out of the park. Derrick Henry, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs had a blowout year. He was great. CeeDee Lamb, another great wide receiver. Wish he was on the Giants. Giants would be winning on the board, winning the division if we had him. But Danny Dimes made it to the playoffs anyway. Anyway, moving on.
So
your picks of Robert Woods in the 6th, Alan Lazard in the 7th, Michael Carter in the 9th, Julio Jones in the 10th, and Rondale Moore in the 12th. With Dak at 11 is fine. You had five other than Dalton Schultz. You had 5 picks who they didn't really do much for you this year.
The only one I'm going to push back on is the Alan Lazard one. I thought Lazard had a great year.
He came on strong.
No, he had good weeks. He wasn't consistently good.
Takes a good manager to play him at the right time.
He had some really good weeks and then some really not good weeks.
Yeah, he had that span, I think, of he fizzled out towards the end a little bit, but I'm pretty sure he had that span where he had
double digits,
4 straight weeks with a touchdown or something like that.
Yeah, weeks 3 through. Yeah, he was.
He started off the season
wide receiver
hot,
3
so 1,
material.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6. His first 7 weeks of the season, he had 5 touchdowns. He didn't score.
And I wanted to trade him while his stock was pretty high too. He just couldn't find the right deal.
Yeah, he didn't get more than 65 yards the rest of the season, and no more than 5 receptions for 65 yards for the rest of the season.
Yeah.
Also, I would just like to let you know that Kenny Galladay just got his first touchdown as a New York Giant.
I'm so happy for him.
It's a nice catch too.
With a great catch, a 50-50 ball. Just letting you know, that's pretty exceptional.
Do you know who drafted Kenny Galladay in this redraft draft?
Ooh. Sounds like something I would do, but I think I was out on him this year, so I might not.
It was Jimmy, actually.
Jimmy? Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah, 13-rounder.
In the 13th, not even last round.
Yeah, but I mean, when you get down past 12, 13
rounds, it's a crapshoot. But yes, I did draft Kenny Galladay. I luckily cut him quickly, but he was still drafted. That shows. I mean, look at how quickly things change, even just year to year. He was still getting drafted in fantasy drafts.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, he's getting paid like a number 1 receiver, and I think given the right situation where he's not reliant on being the number 1 receiver, I think he's a great receiver 2 or 3 if he's happy in the place, he's getting his snaps, and I think if the focus is not on him, I think he can have a bounce back year next year. It just won't be on the Giants. He needs to get out of New York. He needs to go to a small market team like he was on Detroit before, a small market team, can fly under the radar. He doesn't have all of this talk, and really kind of get back to what makes him good, and really, I think he can be a productive 600 to 700 yard receiver a season. Really do.
Yeah, I mean he's young enough that possibly circling back to redraft stuff. What's the common denominator between your dynasty team, Robbie, and Devon's redraft team right here? Who is the common denominator? Josh Jacobs. 4th round pick. Honestly, I could not have been more out on Josh Jacobs this year. That might be why we went 4-10. That's you hit on a legitimate RB1 in the 4th round. You're gonna go real far. I would imagine he was on a ridiculously high percentage of playoff teams this year, of champions this year across all platforms. Is there a guy you think moving forward for next year? I know this is way, way, way too early, but who do you think might be that guy next year?
I think so. I came into this league specifically this year. And this is what I always do. This is how I make the playoffs consistently. I don't always win the league, but just staying away from Sacco. The golden strategy that I love to use is just taking a running back that gets volume and doesn't really have a timeshare. That's why Derrick Henry is always golden for me. That's why I thought Josh Jacobs was going to be golden for me this year as well. I think next year, sort of looking at the board, I think Joe Mixon had a down year this year, didn't eclipse 1,000 yards. I think he finished actually under 800 yards.
Yeah, he missed a few games, though.
He did miss a few games, but I think he's going to have a bounce back next year. Like, Joe Mixon's going to be a guy on my radar because I think he's going to drop a little bit, not just in our league, but just leagues across.
He'll probably be an early second.
I've now had him 2 years in a row, and he's someone who gets a lot of touches.
Yep. We say yes to Joe.
I'm a big fan of Joe Mixon. I really think he's a solid player, and they don't seem to want to put somebody in. He's able to show that he's had all these touches, so he's really been one of those. I think again, Josh Jacobs, wherever he lands, I think his value is going to go down. I think this year we didn't see it coming, and now he's going to be up the draft boards. I don't see him staying in Las Vegas, but wherever he goes, I see him skyrocketing up the draft boards, and it's somebody I think is going to get reached for, and he's going to have it. He's not going to be able to follow it up. Even though I think he's going to be a solid running back, I don't see a situation where he's going to be getting all the touches he got this year.
Yeah, I'll kind of build on that answer, Devon, in that kind of a similar type runner in a way to Jacobs, and sure as hell gets a lot of volume. Guy we've already talked about a little bit with the Dynasty segment, Dameon Pierce for Houston. If they don't draft a running back, he may get 20 plus carries a game. He's shown the ability to run hard, and that's the type of guy where if he's fed, could absolutely go nuts, or their offense could still suck.
Yeah.
But
I see six to seven running backs who are solidly, they are the number one running back. They're going to get a lot of touches, and they're going to keep going. I think Kenneth Walker is going to fly up the draft boards for next year. I think he's going to be solid. Yeah. I think he's going to be a really solid running back, one purely based on volume. And then you have the usual candidates, such as like Saquon's going to get touches. I think Derrick Henry's going to have a down year. I really do.
That's
been saying it for years, and then he keeps doing it.
Because I think Hassan Haskins another year. I watched him last night. I think another year.
He looks good.
Another year in this system for them. I don't know what their quarterback situations is going to be. I think they're another team that going to be a sneaky quarterback team. The Titans are going to need another quarterback. But I can see Hassan Haskins taking a lot of the load off of Derrick Henry and kind of being the change of pace. Right now he comes in occasionally, but I don't see Derrick Henry getting anywhere near the amount of touches he got this year.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I know now I'm looking through this year's draft. We have a little bit less to talk about with it being redraft, and we don't know who the hell anyone's going to have next year. Obviously, the year before, live draft, all in person. Des took Trey Sermon in the fourth round. Fourth round, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
He doubled down this year and took
first pick of the fourth round.
And I think
Des took Trey Sermon, and he didn't do the same thing.
He doubled down. He took Elijah Mitchell in the fourth round. End of the fourth round this year.
Finished the season with what? With 224 yards rushing total.
Yeah, that's brutal. He played week 1, and that was pretty much it. Is Trey Sermon the worst pick?
It's another reason why. Yeah, it's also another reason why Dez is consistently near the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
Dez is purely comedic. It's pure comedic laughter.
All right.
From Dez.
Is Trey Sermon 4.01 the worst pick in the history of this league? I don't have all the draft boards. I don't have any of that.
It purely has to be.
It has to be, right?
I remember way back in the day when after I think it was CJ Spiller had like his one breakout year, and I think Jared Hill took him with like a top 3 pick the following year, and then like CJ Spiller just like fell off the face of the earth. But yeah, Trey Sermon's definitely up there.
Didn't Trey Sermon finish with negative yards that year?
Might as well have.
Pretty sure he had negative points because he had more
but we didn't have any whiffs of that magnitude this year. Am I correct on that?
No.
Looking through that.
He drafted Hunter Renfrow, and so he drafts Elijah Mitchell in the 4th. He drafts Hunter Renfrow in the 6th. Drafts James Cook in the 8th. Drafts Naheem Hines in the 10th. Drafts Russell Gage in the 11th. Like he just missed on a lot. I mean,
I
even
don't
Jonathan Taylor with the 101 was just not the pick to make.
Well,
you
so,
always go
okay.
McCaffrey. Always go McCaffrey.
You can't.
I agree, but
you
he got
can't bet
injured.
against injury like that to a non-injury prone player. That's gonna happen. That's football. That's life. I don't look at that as a bust. I look at that as just bad luck. If that makes sense.
I agree.
That's pretty unavoidable.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. So, like, the talk of the league the last couple of years has been like, if you had, I mean, especially after this year, right? So the first 12 picks were Jonathan Taylor injured, Christian McCaffrey, okay, Cooper Kupp injured, Najee sort of underwhelming for 104, Dalvin had a down year, Justin Jefferson good, Derrick Henry good, Austin Eckler sort of a down year, Joe Mixon down year, Jamar Chase sort of a down year compared to last year.
Eckler,
Kamara down.
hold up. Look at Eckler's game log and tell me again he had a down year.
Yeah,
fine, good.
He had a down year to start the season.
To start, yeah. And then
really
Jamar Chase compared to last year, down year.
Yep.
Kamara, down year. And then, I mean, Bobby hit it. He wanted the number 12 pick from the get-go.
Saquon was
when we were doing those Olympics, and he hit it on Barkley with number 12.
He whipped hard on Swift.
12, but then
Look at Swift. Swift was. I did not realize Swift was this bad. Yeah, look at Swift's game log.
Swift got injured and he was out for quite a while.
He missed
and Jamal
3
Williams
games.
was just so reliable too.
Swift missed 3 games.
Because Swift was out, Jamal Williams showed he could.
Right, and Williams took his job.
Just slowly eased him back, and towards the end of the season, you see Swift get a few more.
Yeah, he had a good game this week.
Honestly, Allen Robinson, third round pick, is one of the worst picks of this draft.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Absolutely atrocious. He had a total of 339 yards and 3 touchdowns all year.
Is he the new Kenny Galladay?
No, he was better than Kenny Galladay this year. But I really think Bobby hits big. Talking about Bobby hits big on some. Tyler Lockett in the 7th round, great pick. Saquon in the 1st ends up being a great pick, but he takes these gambles on players he loves, and it's like Allen Robinson. Everything I was reading from going into the season, I thought Allen Robinson was going to be awful. You could see it was like, oh, Allen Robinson comes for a fresh start. He's going to be the OBJ. OBJ barely was averaging 35 yards a game on the Rams. He had a few touchdowns, yes, but Allen Robinson in the 3rd round on a touchdown-dependent wide receiver, it's a bad pick. Antonio Gibson, yes, Robinson had just been shot, but we knew he was coming back, and Gibson was only going to be a 5-week starter. Like Juju Smith-Schuster, Patrick Mahomes has showed that he will pass the ball around to no matter what. Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce were always the only 2 big ones, and they got into multiple weapons, so they were able to spread out with Tyreek. Without Tyreek, so it kind of that's not a good pick at the 6th round. Treylon Burks, I think, would have been a great dynasty pick, or if we were doing a keeper league. But Tennessee's a focus on the run game. His quarterback, Matthew Stafford, yes, I know, coming off the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford was down for a down year. Before the start of the season, they were talking about it. He needed what would be Tommy John surgery. He had an elbow injury. There was talk about that, and it's like Bobby gets these people in his head, and he thinks, you know what, these guys were great, either in their prime in their last year, they're on a new team, or I think they're going to be great, and he'll go with his gut, which can work out for him, but it's been a disappointing 2 years with Bobby in this league. Both years he's made some questionable draft choices, and both years he paid the price and ended up near the bottom of the league.
All right, so quick power ranking right here. Going with their gut power rankings, not trusting the process, just fuck it, let's ride. Number 1 there, I think has to be is that Tom or Dez? Who we got? Tom, Dez, or Bobby? Number 1 pick for the just trust their gut, just fuck it, go for it.
Oh man, that's a tough one.
Who we got?
Oh man, I'd probably go Dez.
Dez did draft off a phone.
Yeah, drafting from a phone is just one of the all-time classic draft moments. That's probably who I go with. Just absolute like Robert said, just absolute comedy. But I'd probably go Dez for trusting his gut.
Dez, who we got at number 2 then? We got Bobby or Tom. I almost want to go Tom. Once Tom picks up vibes from a player, it's Moon Man season for life.
Yeah,
that's not a bad one.
I would go Bobby number 2 purely based on what I've seen in 2 years of Bobby. Bobby has his guys and he picks his guys. And he made some questionable choices last year. I can't quite remember what they were. And he made some questionable choices this year where he reaches for players he likes. And
it was Myles Gaskin last year.
Yeah, I really think Bobby's one of those players who he relies heavily on himself and he has belief in himself. And 2 years in a row it hasn't worked out. I also think I would go Bobby 2. Tom would be 3.
That's the top 3 for sure.
Listen, my dad's got to be somewhere up there too because he drafts the same guys every year.
Hey, Dev, I did that. That's what I did. That's what I did last year.
Kareem Hunt, Chase Claypool.
No, I
he drafts the same 4 or 5 guys.
No, I got to go. Those 3 always to me. Those are the 3 biggest wild cards. The top 3.
Yeah. Yep. Every year.
Next level. I have 3 in the next level
Go ahead.
of like players who always hype up their teams and like these are my guys. Your dad is one of them, and it's worked out for him a lot of years. This was the first year where he really struggled all year, and there was just kind of no hope. And he showed really an inability and a lack of willingness to adjust on the fly. He's like, "These are my guys. I'm going to live and die by my guys."
Yeah, that's actually going to be our next question. We'll be talking about what's wrong with Papa, but let's finish his rankings first.
And then I think another 2 after that, and they have their guys are David and Ray. I really think
Ray's another big one. Ray loves different guys coming out of the draft.
They get their head on these guys are going to be my guys, and then have no matter where they are, they have their sole focus on these are my guys. I want these guys, and it's stuck.
And
then when it comes down to it, like during the draft, if they get picked, they're completely lost about what to do because they're like, well, this was my guy, and somebody took it beforehand. I don't know what I'm going to do because I had my eye on that guy. And they're not willing to. The lack of being able to go on the fly has really. It worked out. They finished 2nd and 3rd, but like I've noticed they have their guys and they're set on their guys, and a lot of times they're right. But the lack of like on the fly ingenuity has really shown up for me in the last couple of years with both of them. And their ability of like I have my guys, these are my guys, and I don't want anyone else.
And both of the 2 of them, I struggle sometimes to tell what is them valuing a guy and getting them, and what is them once they have a guy talking themselves into this person being, the second coming of Jesus.
Yeah.
I think I probably need to be up there, having drafted basically the same team that won me a Sackle Bowl and almost doing it again until they, went and totally redeemed themselves the last 3 weeks. Kittle, Lamar, the whole crew again. And then, I think Willie's probably in there as well. And then kind of on the other end, you too, Robbie, you're not afraid to shoot your shot on people as well. And then that kind of...
I'm another one who has my guys, but I have multiple guys who...
You have different shots.
Taken, I've got another one waiting. I'm not really worried that...
And then kind of the most analytical, maybe not analytical, but, have a plan, are willing to adjust and whatnot. I think Devon Frank gotta kind of be those 2 are firmly the top 2, bottom 2, however you want to look at it.
Yeah, like I said, like coming into this, I really just wanted running backs, the guys with volume. I was a little worried about. I took DK Metcalf in a couple of leagues, and I was a little worried that what would happen with DK now that it was Geno Smith. But I think it ended up panning out for a 5th round pick. It wasn't too bad. He dropped a little bit.
Yeah, no, he was perfectly serviceable. All right, last redraft question before we get into a little surprise fun festivities. What is wrong with Papa? Papa seems I can't speak on his non-NYMA leagues. We know those leagues don't matter. These are the only ones that do. But Devin, you will have some insight here. Papa finished dead last. Sacco. Well, I guess in standings he was 5-9. The only team with a worse record was me at 4-10. But finished as Sacco, and in Dynasty he was almost equally as bad. I think he went 4-10. He is if you asked me who are the perennial, playoff contenders every single year, it's Papa, it's Devin. Those are the top 2 names that come to mind. Every year, it's you two are always in playoffs. It's the first time I've seen him not make playoffs. What
I
happened
think this
year?
was his first year not making playoffs.
Ever?
I believe. Because Frank, obviously, shout out to Frank. He puts
Big
in all the work to give us all the stats and all that.
Yeah, I'm trying to find it.
That is the coolest thing we have going. He gives us our overall records, how many times we made the playoffs and that. And consistently at the top is always Papa and Devon, and it's rather annoying, honestly. But I thought this year when Devon started, 0-3 or something like that.
0-2.
0-2, and then didn't lose again.
It was down so bad. I thought, damn, this is going to be. And I think Papa was 0-2 too. So it was like, this is the year that the good guys are always going to be bad. And I was loving it. And unfortunately, Devon made a run and won. But seeing Papa as my Olympic partner, it makes me sad inside. But I think this was the year he could have come out of his shell and really gone away from what he does. He drafts well, and then just kind of holds his team and go. This was the year his draft didn't go as well, and he didn't show an ability to be able to change on the fly and trade and kind of make a risky move that could ultimately make sure that he wasn't Sacco, and he ended up paying the price, and was quite comfortably in last place.
Yeah, I think like halfway through the season, like I'd go back for an occasional weekend and ask, what's sort of going on with this team, and it seemed might have been the year where about halfway through he pretty much gave up all hope, unfortunately. I'm trying to look right now too. Yeah.
Yeah, it was just one of those.
I'm trying to look.
Go ahead, Robert.
I just think it was overall one of those things where I think it also doesn't help that he's been a part of this league for what? He's been there from the start, 12 years, 11 years. He's never had a bad draft. He's always he can kind of get away with a couple trades here and there, like kind of tinker with his team a little bit. This was the year he really needed to just 5 games in. Okay, I'm 1-4 or however he was. It's like I need to change something up and make a big splash. And he's not a splashy player. He's a consistent player who drafts well, who relies on himself, who knows he can get a winning season. And I think, honestly, it was a bit of complacency. It's like, you know what? My teams are always good. They're going to come back from this. I've got my players that I trust, as we talked about. He drafts the same core players. This year, it came back to bite him. So I'm hoping to see a renewed and reinvigorated Papa for next year. Hopefully willing to make a bit of a splash when it comes to trades and things like that.
And Papa by the numbers as well. So I'm looking at the Excel that Frank obviously made, and it's not updated quite yet with 2022 numbers, I don't think. But Papa, in 10 years that we've been doing this league, 7 times he has made the playoffs. So he's also a 2-time champion, 1-time runner-up, and 1-time 1 seed.
That's impressive consistency.
Which
really,
is his winning percentage, at least from 2013 to 2021, he's close to 56% for his winning percentage, which would be number 4 in this league.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of like our league's Tim Duncan. He doesn't say shit. He shows up, he wins games, and then he's someone respected and feared by everyone he plays.
That's right.
But so we think next year, you think he needs to just not be afraid to step out of that comfort zone and take a big swing?
I agree. That's exactly what I think. I think this year has kind of been his downfall of he's coasted for so many years because he always drafts well, and next year, he needs to realize that I don't want this to happen again. Hopefully, if he takes the punishment and he realizes how awful the punishment is going to be, then he will kind of change things up maybe. I think this is the shot that Papa needs. I really do. I think he was getting complacent. He was like, look at all these goons who talk a lot of trash, and then I always beat them. And this is the first year where he kind of ate his humble pie, and he needs to kind of focus up and make a couple splashes next year and show everyone that the old man's back in the building and he's not to be messed with.
He needs to assert his dominance over the Withers clan.
Yep.
Right.
Wait, another one who's always sneaky good is Junior. I think there's something to do with the Withers name.
Junior's number 5 for winning percentage for all time as well. Junior's also sneaky good, but I also don't think Junior's ever been a league winner before.
Oh well, he's always a solid. He never has a bad. He's never. I mean, I don't think he's been Sacco either. I think he's either solid.
No, he's never been Sacco.
He's always been solidly good or a very decent player. And the Withers family. I mean, there's not much to like about him overall, but.
Junior
Cowboys fans.
Hey, Junior does hold the record for most other league members' wives banged. So.
Oh my god, Junior by the numbers. 10 years in the league, 6 times in the playoffs, 1 time. He's only been in the top 3 1 time across 10 years, which is crazy. But he's always in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's always in the playoffs, which is all you like. If you put yourself in the dance, you always got a chance.
But here's the problem with the Withers clan, and I say this as a member of the Withers clan, is that we unanimously agree that we don't really care what the Sacco punishment is because we don't believe that any of the 3 of us are going to end up in the Sacco. And I think this is the first taste. No pun intended, of Papa needing to do the Sacco. I think it's gonna because I've told him, I'm like, do you realize like I just nod my head and I just let them do whatever they want for Sacco punishments? We could be cutting limbs off, we could be jumping off of buildings, and I'd probably still nod my head just because I always think that someone like a Dez or someone like a Bobby are just gonna finish below me.
Yeah.
Papa just overestimated that this year.
Yeah, I'm waiting for the day Devon is Sacco. That would be.
Oh my god.
That would be my dream.
That's not David as Sacco's the dream, but.
Yeah, David as Sacco would be the dream.
No, there's 3 players.
There are 3 dreams.
I have 3 dreams, all of which those 3 players, if they ever finish Sacco, I will sleep like a baby at night.
Is it the people that made the top 3 this year?
In advance. No. I think number 1 on my list is Devon, purely because I'd love to watch just the smug look on his face just be gone. Just get the smugness out.
Imagine me having to run like 4 miles. I would have fucking done.
That would take a while.
My number 2 is David. I guess I think that would be everyone's number 1 and 2. Like 1 and 2 is David and
yeah. I mean, GG.
Well, it's certainly not my top 2.
Well, yeah, but like everyone not named you guys.
Dev, you just want to see Willie.
Those are everyone's top 2 because Evan's the biggest troll in the league and David's the most annoying human being of all time. I love you, David, but nightmare of a person in a group chat to be with. And then honestly, I would love to watch Tom do a punishment. Just love it, like purely for pure comedic value.
Yeah, Tom would be a good one.
And Tom is kind of one of those ones who kind of fly in the middle of the pack. But I just feel like he would take it under his wing and just kind of go all out. And honestly, like Dez did last year, Dez went all out, and it was hilarious.
Shout out Dez.
He took it like a good sport, but I really would love to watch Tom do a Sacco punishment.
Would you guys have felt bad if Dez was back-to-back Saccos, especially with this punishment and the one last year?
Yeah, I would. But honestly, I didn't think his team was that bad, but he just kept losing.
No, I didn't either. I really thought it was going to come down to Jimmy and my dad, and I also thought
it was going to be me and Bobby.
I also thought
Bobby, yeah.
I thought it was going to be me and Bobby, and it turned out me and Bobby steamrolled the consolation bracket. Like this game makes no sense. This game makes no sense.
Going into the Sacco playoffs, I think it would have been my guess as to who was playing in the Sacco playoff final. It would have been Papa Withers this year. His team is not very good all year. But I also would have gone with Bobby. I really thought it was Bobby's turn to be Sacco. Time for and another one who would be absolutely hilarious to watch do a punishment. But yeah, for pure comedic value, I'd have Tom in 3rd, and then obviously Ray in 4th, because I would absolutely love to watch Ray try and do all of these things.
I think another sneaky one that for this specific one, I also would have liked to watch Frank do this one.
Yeah, I agree, but yeah.
That would have been funny.
That's true.
Just want to watch him sweat.
I also love Frank, and Frank's kind of like not the innocent one of the group, but like the adult. Even though we have a real adult in the group, Frank is the adult of the group.
Frank is the adult. That's right.
Yeah, Frank is the adult of the group, and it just makes me feel like I feel bad that I have to watch Papa.
Yeah, let Papa drink his peanut butter whiskey and live his life.
It's gonna be funny, but at the same time, like, that's a grown man. Like, we're watching, like, he's got a bunch of 25-year-olds making him do a bunch of weird stuff, and this man's got a family and grandkids, and yet he's gonna be out there running miles, chugging beer, and eating hot chips. So, like, that makes me, like, it's funny at once, but it's also like, ugh. I wish, like, the punishment was designed for somebody else.
Yeah, no one.
It wasn't designed for Papa.
Nobody thought he'd be here.
Yeah, and although Frank is our age, I view Frank as, like, Frank's always been. I've known Frank for a long, long time, and Frank's always been the responsible adult of the group. So I feel like it's not this punishment wasn't designed for Frank. Like, I view Frank as like
designed for Frank, and it wasn't designed for Papa. That's for sure.
Yeah. And it was like one of those things. Like, this is I view all of us as like children. Yes, we're 25 now, but I've known most of you since I was 12. Like, we're idiots to the extreme. We're goofballs. We're all still children at heart, and we've yet to grow up. And it's kind of like this punishment sums that up. Yet we're having the adult in the group do it.
So we're all terrible human beings.
It's going to be great, and it's going to be funny, but at the same time, I wish it was somebody else.
Yeah, so
you're more than welcome to step in and just be Sacco as a volunteer.
Robbie will.
I already have, but David threw a hissy fit, and now it's not going to work.
Speaking
I
of
volunteer, Olympic partners stick together.
Yeah, Olympic partners. I think now is an hour and 11 minutes into this podcast. Let's talk Olympics.
Let's go.
Do we want to start just by running through the events and kind of the general how the hell this is going to work?
Sure.
Or I know it's been discussed in chat ad nauseum, but you got to find that within all the GGs and all the bitching across different platforms.
Also, GGs, if that becomes a thing, there will be no money given out next year.
We might need a new driver for this year.
If the stock market crashes, we'll screw it.
Also, if I have to deal with another David Devon final, I might have to end it all.
All right, dibs on your dynasty quarterbacks and your inheritance.
Sounds good to me.
All right, so gist of the Olympics, we're gonna have 2 teams of 6 drafted by yours truly, the consolation winner, and Mr. Devon Withers, your league champion, your reigning champ. Going to be Olympic style, similar to how we did it. It's kind of an amalgam of how we did it with mini golf and how we did it last season with the Olympics. We're doing 2 teams of 6. Let me say that in a clear way. 2 teams of 6. Going to compete in a handful of events, which, Dev, you have that list in front of you, right?
Yeah, so for the events, we have 6v6 events will include tug of war, a bucket relay, we have beer ball, 6-on-6, and also flag football. For duo events, we have beer pong, foosball, can jam, cornhole, and pool. And then the solo events, we have air hockey and ping pong. I believe we agreed that the rule between the duos and solos, you have to compete in 2 different events.
Yep.
It doesn't matter which event you compete in. It doesn't matter. I don't know if we need to establish whether you can have the same person as their 2 events compete in solos. Like if I put someone on air hockey and ping pong.
I personally have no problem with that. Me and you can discuss that when the time comes and come to an understanding.
I do believe, I could be completely wrong here, but beer ball, I thought we were playing baseball.
Or baseball, baseball.
Beer ball could be a single event if air hockey doesn't work out, and
I agree.
That's kind of an alt event.
Yeah, I agree. But yeah, baseball will be a 6-on-6.
Baseball is going to be incredible.
Beer ball or air hockey would be one of the.
Can you read the duo events one more time? I was just scribbling these down. We have beer pong, can jam, cornhole.
Yep. So I have beer pong, I have foosball, I have can jam, I have cornhole, and pool.
And pool. Okay. Beer pong, can jam, cornhole, foosball, pool. That's 10. Air hockey 11, ping pong 12. Yep. So 2. Okay, perfect.
And that way, Jimmy, the only other thing that we're going to need to discuss probably on the side is just how much each points is worth for the 6-on-6 versus a duo versus a solo.
That, and if we want to do blind matchmaking or coordinate matchup, I don't think that will really affect the draft here.
Yeah.
I'm not super worried about that. We will absolutely come to understanding. I'm glad that you ended up as the captain. We get some rational conversation here.
I know Robbie's glad I end up as captain as well.
I am. I sure am.
Man, Robbie, you could have been the first pick if David was captain.
Yeah, I know. I don't care. Not being the first pick will.
Robbie could also still end up as the number 1 pick.
Yeah, so this is true.
I'd like a chip on my shoulder. I play better with a chip on my shoulder, so I'm coming for blood.
With a packy chip on your shoulder?
I come for blood. This year I'm all out. I got played. There were some games played last year that got in my. I treasure to say put me in a mental pretzel. It was put in a mental pretzel through outside games, and also during one of the events, I was put in a mental pretzel. So therefore, this year I am coming for blood. Nothing can focus. I'm putting all my mind and energy into making sure that my team not just wins overall, but wins every event that I take place in. We will win.
Yeah, so if you're on Robbie's team, I really hope Tommy's on your team and not on the other team, because Robbie his mind may be in a blender. On that note,
Tom playing cornhole, nightmare. Absolute nightmare.
That's my teammate. That's my teammate. Hopefully we don't get a monsoon, too.
Yep.
Dev, Robbie, I'm going to let you moderate this, but Dev...
I'm going to take over. Yep, so we have Team Devon and Team Jimmy. How it's going to work. Team Devon gets the first overall pick. Jimmy gets picks 2 and 3. Devon gets picks 4, and then from then on, it's 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way through the end. There's a total of 10 picks. Everyone in the group is eligible to be picked at any time. Those are the rules, and so if anyone has any last words before we'd like to start the draft, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, Evan Withers, you are on the clock.
I'm just putting together on Discord right now a list of who's available to be drafted. Who am I missing? Ray, Brian W, Willie. Oh, missing Junior, and I have Robert in there. Bobby, David, Frank, Tom. Who's the last one I'm missing?
Bobby.
Dez.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to list who's left.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the first overall pick.
All right. So I thought about this long and hard. There's really 2 options here. There was, do I actually want to try to put up a fight and win, or do I just want to go and have fun? Unfortunately, I just don't feel like in July that I'm going to have a good time just watching Jimmy and David just absolutely annihilate everybody in flag football
I really
continuously.
want this to happen.
So it only would make sense that I would draft the guy that's been in my DMs pretty much every day asking me about strategy for this draft, and I'll be taking David Crawley as the number 1 pick.
All right, let me cross David off the board.
First overall pick, David Crawley. Probably all around one of the most athletic members of this group, but also the most annoying member of this group. So
I love the analysis afterwards.
I'll give you analysis after every pick.
I do. I need strengths and weaknesses.
His strengths. He'll help you with most of the athletic events, tug of war, baseball, flag football. He'll be good. He's a great quarterback, so he'll be one of those good things.
This is also getting leaked to the public right now.
Yeah.
Does this happen in the live? Make him listen to the podcast. Yeah.
So David, all around great player, but what I would put as the number 1 worst teammate. Will argue, will yell at you. If you don't do what you're told, he will yell at you, and he will argue, and he will kind of diminish you as a person. And so Devin has to be very careful on who else he drafts.
Yeah, I'll say this though.
His team could end up being a civil war if David gets left to his own devices and truly becomes what he thinks of himself as the alpha male of the group. If you let David take over your group, then your team is in real trouble if you have certain members on your team. So
yeah, listen, this is David for me is like It'll be understand with the number one pick that he's sort of got that the ego. He's got the red flags, the diva personality. But I mean, we're gonna let him get his beauty sleep. We're gonna have him nice and rested for Saturday.
You giving him your
And
nice
we're gonna
bed?
just see what happens.
And this pick is a solid showing that talent over everything else matters. So that is David. He should have been the number one pick based on talent.
Yep.
Some people have referred to him as a team cancer, but we'll find out and we'll see what goes on. Next up, Jimmy, you have the next two picks. What would be the second pick? Who's your second overall pick in the draft?
My second overall pick, this is a no-brainer for me. My top tier had two people in it. It had David, who, say what you want, I mean, pain in the ass in chat, but on the field, on the court, he will compete. As long as he isn't a mental midget, as long as he doesn't get in his own head, and with this group, he's not going to because he's confident. He's more athletic than all of you people. He will be a force to be reckoned with, and I think there's really only one person who can match him out in the field of play, who will bring the spirit as well, who will give all he has, will bring the fire, and he came ready to plow. I'm talking to him right now. It's Robbie Fletcher.
Hey, second overall, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm the problem. It's me. Good old Taylor Swift reference right there for anyone who didn't know. But yeah. So again, I would have picked myself second too. A bit about where I feel my strengths and weaknesses are. I would say one of the more athletic members of the group. Again, I'd say that I'm the step underneath what David and Jimmy. Like David and Jimmy to me are level one. I'm the step right below. Can compete with them, but there are a couple things where David's a better quarterback than me, like etc. But for team morale and organization, without being too much of a team annoyance, I think I fit in perfectly, especially with Jimmy. Jimmy and I complement each other well. So overall, I think so far a solid team for us. And a solid team for Devon so far. It just got to hope David's got his beauty rest and didn't wake up on the wrong side of the bed.
I just want to throw in two things I want to throw in about Robert as well.
Yeah, we need some weaknesses. Go ahead.
Yeah, I got a few weaknesses for him.
Please do.
As I expected.
Very emotionally unstable, absolutely rattled in cornhole. I don't think Jimmy's going to ever even risk letting Robert get on cornhole again after that showing last year. And number two, we've talked about it beforehand. Robert abstaining from alcohol is breaking news, and I thought it might have rattled Jimmy a little bit. I see some breaks, some holes in this team early on. Unfortunate.
As people who don't know what's going on, as I told these guys before the draft, I am taking 6 months. I'm doing the 6-month sobriety challenge. So from January 1st to June 30th, I will be not having a touch of alcohol. So considering this Olympics is 2 weeks after that, my alcohol tolerance will be lower. The only good part about it is I've seen this group drink, and I can still probably outdrink most of them anyway. So I'm not too worried about that. I think that's kind of be an afterthought. It gives me a little chip on my shoulder that even Devon thinks to bring it up. But I really think that it won't be a problem, and I'll still drink you under the table. And even if I can't, I'll have a nice, comfortable spot on the floor waiting for me. So, if you have anything else for that pick, if you got any more.
Okay, so yeah, my second thing as well. Robert, I don't know if Jimmy mentioned this to you, but Jimmy and I exclusively been talking. We thought it would be really funny if we traded you to my team at some point during this recording. I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see how the rest of the draft shakes out. I just wouldn't get too comfortable there. I might be trading for you at some point.
That's fine.
Yeah, Devon may trade himself.
I will welcome the trade. I'm just happy to be there. I will put my best effort forth for whatever team I'm on.
I'm not allowed to trade myself, by the way.
Yeah, can you imagine if after all this, it's just Robbie and David on a team?
Yeah, you can trade anyone but yourself.
That would be really funny if I just drafted the worst team possible
and then just traded yourself for like the worst player on the other team.
Oh my god.
Okay, Jimmy. Moving on. What's your
Pick 3. I think this is the first fulcrum, swing pick of the draft.
This would be the first surprise. Yeah.
Right. This is the first
This is a big
surprise.
one.
I have three, maybe 4 people on my draft board here that I could absolutely talk myself into.
I have 4.
Yeah, I think 4 is reasonable. There's a handful of guys that fit this pick. I mean, I'd rather be picking here than the pick after, but the pick after I think it's a little easier because there's one person removed. To me, I think we need to go off past performance in the Olympics, in mini golf, a willingness to perform in high pressure situations, even if he can't, draft a team to save his life. I'm going with the one, the only, Des, Florida man, O'Grady.
Hey, Des O'Grady, 3rd man off the board. And I would have to say another good pick, especially with what I would deem events that really sort his strengths out. Their strengths will really show out this year. Des, well-known big boy. He's beefy. And tug of war really will help. He'll be help that man, other than when he's at David's house and painting his bathroom with vomit.
He can usually hang.
And can hold up for a while. So, and Des generally quite athletic. Has had a good showing the last 2 years. So
yeah, Des is a strong motherfucker. I can say that having played basketball with him.
Overall good pick. Des with a great pick. I do think he has a tendency to kind of zone out a little bit, so maybe team spirit won't be there quite as much. But
hey, shout out Des. Des is the type of guy though to bring Cheez-Its to a poker game for everyone. So I'm not worried about morale.
He'll be good for team morale, but he won't be one of the rah-rah guys. He's going to be the silent type who's going to show up, do his job.
The rah-rah role player.
Yeah, he's a great role player and an excellent addition to our team. I just think we have to constantly Des needs to be motivated and shown love. So glad David's not on our team because that could end very badly if that's the case. But Des on our team, very happy with the pick. Okay, 4th overall, Devon. Now that the 3 that I would pick her off, this is kind of where it gets into gray areas for me.
I have a suspicion that's who Devon wanted.
Who would you like to draft?
Yeah, I mean, people thought that Des might have slipped my number 4 pick. A lot of people were surprised that Bobby wasn't the number 3 pick. Jimmy was also interested in trading for this number 4 pick at one point in time. I have a feeling like it was to grab Bobby. Ultimately, my number 1 pick has said it best. We're not going to be able to win. I just got a message from my number 1 pick. First of all, he's happy to be on this team. Second of all, he quoted to me, "We aren't winning on athleticism. We need to win on skill." That's just great morale already for our team. We're going to go with Bobby, I think, for the number 4 pick.
So you have the chance here to take the Robert Stopper, the man who owns a nice 3-bedroom Russell Wilson number a bathroom condo in Robbie's head, and you choose to go with a different morale pick. That's correct?
Yep, we're going with Bobby. We looked at the tape. We saw Tom. We saw what he did last year. Very impressed with our team. Bobby, I think, is a little bit more skilled with the drinking games. I think Tom is, as decent as he is at cornhole. I think Bobby fills in a couple more voids for our team.
All right.
Fourth overall pick, Bobby. Let's just say I love Bobby, and he's a great morale team. Great player for morale, can drink you under the table, and he'll be great for all of those games. But I think Devon's taking a lack of skill and trying to take a bit of goofiness. And I also think this is quite a pick despite Jimmy.
It's absolutely a pick despite me. David is seizing power. David is already doing a coup.
You guys took the first strike. You guys split up the winning duo from last year with David and Des. I had to do it.
This is what I would call a spite pick.
I don't even think this is Devon picking.
I wouldn't have taken Bobby 4th. I think this is a reach, but only time will tell. And I think he'll drink. I think drinking is where he thrives and not much else. Guys, he's quite uncoordinated and kind of goofy.
Don't sleep on him in beer pong. I'll say that. Do not sleep on him in beer pong.
Oh, that's a drinking beer game.
It is a drinking game.
We can confirm on our team that Bobby will be one of our representatives on beer pong.
Yep. So I think we're gonna have a nice beer pong game because I will be on that beer pong team too. I believe I should be, and so we'll have a great time. But I think this is in my opinion, is a reach. But it's nice to see Devon is being his usual self and being petty and spiteful, and also at the same time, really focusing on what he thinks his team can win and trying to pick events that he thinks he can win instead of trying to build the most all-around team.
I honestly don't think this is Dev picking at all. I think this is David laying the seeds for a coup already. He's just trying to do a coup.
Number one pick happy. I need to make him happy.
I think David has gotten in the year, and David is showing that Devon is a beta male of this group, and Devon has already lost control of his group. But, I would.
Dev is the Atlanta Hawks, just giving Trae Young everything they have to then flame out in the first round or pick any other superstar that just sucks.
Yeah. So okay. Moving on from Bobby. Again, I would have taken him in this general area. I just think there's to me there's two players I would have taken above him. Fifth overall, Jimmy.
Fifth overall. The reason we didn't end up pursuing a trade for this fourth pick, I had inquired with Devon. There was some preliminary talks, but ultimately, knowing I would get, I think Bobby and Bob. I'll just go ahead. It's Tom. We take Tom. We ride with the vibes. That's my teammate. I want him on my team. Never mind the fact that he's your kryptonite. He's now on our team. But even more so, what he brings to the table. Me and him, we showed out in the Olympics this past summer. Great teammate, great guy to have by your side. Shows up for every event, gives it his all, and the vibes are unparalleled. And I know we're gonna win. We're gonna have the best team morale in the country. And Dev showed from the beginning he doesn't care about team morale, and that's going to be the difference this year. Give me Tom. Knowing I would get one of Tom or Bobby was why we stay here.
Tom would have been my fourth pick. Tom, all around amazing vibes guy, the ultimate glue. Decently athletic. It's not really too big of a drop off. So all around great team member and should be a contributor to this team in certain events, and will help with the vibes big time. So we're kind of getting into the weeds of it. Tom, I think, has a tendency to. His issue might be the fact that he would want to go off and smoke every 5 minutes, so we might lose a few things there. And has a tendency to go more for the goofy side rather than the actual true competition. But if he really focuses himself, I think could end up being one of the best picks of this draft.
We need to make sure he doesn't play baseball with Jack Daniels in there.
Yes, maybe Tom's only issue is himself. So maybe if we can keep the vibes going, but without trying to get himself to black himself out or trying to just mess with somebody else to the detriment of his own team, we're fine, and Tom will be a great addition to this team.
Absolutely.
Sixth. We're coming up to sixth overall. We're getting into the lower half of the picks. There's a couple here that I have my mind set on who the next level of players would be. But I'll leave that up to the one and only Devon Withers. Who would you like to take sixth overall?
Oh man, yeah, this is tough. I mean, I figured he was going to take Tom. I thought that was a decent pick. I'm down to two.
Are they both related to you?
I believe we both, you guys both have the same two. That's kind
of it's just a matter of whether I'm trying to pick and choose which one. It's like if I don't take one, I'm basically giving up one 6-on-6 category. But if I take the other, I'm also giving up another 6-on-6 category. So it's just a matter of which game I think we can keep it closer in. Look,
I know personally which way I would go with you purely because of your first two picks. There's one person who doesn't help you as much as, especially Bobby's pick, who will help you in other areas. So if you're trying to really win one category, then I go one way. If you're trying to win overall, I would go the other way.
Yeah, and this is gonna sound like a crazy pick. I think I might be reaching here, but I had a pre-draft interview with the player. Scouted him, asked him what categories he would feel comfortable on. He told me he was ready to go. He told me he would actually be comfortable playing pool if he had more alcohol consumed in him, which was a weird strategy to go with. Also told me that a red flag, he said, quote, I'm only going to try if I'm feeling good that day. I'm going to hope it's going to be a good day for him. I'm going to go with the number 6 pick is going to be Willie with the number 6 pick.
Okay. Yep. Willie at the number 6 pick. That's who I would have taken. I think that's a good pick. Still in college, still drinking. So, I agree with that pick. Again, Willie, there's two things about Willie, one of which is based on the team he's on. Willie and David have a history of not being great teammates. Especially,
I think David tried to kick him off his team once.
Yeah, especially in football, I would say flag football will now be a worry because David and Willie, I've seen them multiple times play football together and it doesn't end well. But Willie will help you a lot all around. I don't think there's anything he's exceptional at, but an all-around good player. The youngest in the group, so hopefully the one who's less likely to get injured and do that. But again, as Devon mentioned, somebody who has a habit of quitting on his team when things don't go 100%. So hopefully he's in a good mood that day and will really step it up for his team. And here's hoping that he shows up and does the Willie that we get flashes of every once in a while.
Man, Dev is banking on Bob alone to do so much heavy lifting for team chemistry on that team. This is going to be a disaster.
Devon and Bobby and not Bobby and Willie. Willie and David on the same team is the one combo that I would have gone without. Purely based on what we've seen over the years and how David doesn't like the fact that Willie doesn't bow to his every whim and doesn't listen to his route. And
this isn't a podcast for you to slander my team and just already mess with our chemistry. Our team is going to be just fine.
Okay.
I mean, I heard from a little birdie that a potential team member was already slandering a potential team captain, but that's neither here nor there. I believe I'm up to pick next.
We're moving on to the 7th overall pick. To me, there's only one person left that can go here. Jimbo, it's your turn.
Yeah. So left on the board here, we have Papa Withers, we have Junior Withers, we have Ray, and we have Frank. All right, there's 4 picks left. We're at 3-3 plus our captains. I think this is kind of a no-brainer for me. You take Junior. Junior might be one of the 3 best athletes in this group. Like he's one of the more coordinated kids. Did I hear he was in a flag football league pretty recently, Dev?
Yeah, as of last year, he was in
recent enough. He's good height, good speed. I trust him to catch a ball more than a lot of people. I think taking Junior, I think pretty much locks us up as heavy favorites in flag football.
Yeah, overall, very solid pick. I think somebody who's undervalued based on the fact that we don't get to spend as much time with him as we do other people.
1,000%.
Quite athletic of what I've seen. Very good will be very good at most of these games. I think he will struggle with the drinking games, but that's why he's drafted both me and Jimmy. Jimmy and I are both decently good at games, and Dez is another one who's going to try hard and really, really add something to the group. I think Junior, as long as his head's in it, and not either with his wife, who he's bringing on vacation with him.
As long as his head's not in his wife.
Or if he's talking about his kids. It really just depends. So if Junior's there and present and fully engaged, I think we have a great steal of a pick at 7th overall. But otherwise, it's another one at this point. It could be a hit or a miss depending on the mood that Junior's in. But if we put him in the right positions, I think he'll thrive in our team. So moving on to the 8th overall pick, that falls on Devon. Who would you like 8th overall? There's 3 people left. We have Frank, Papa Withers, and Ray.
Yeah, it's oh my god. So it's a tough one. feel like I know the route that I'm gonna go with. It's just a matter of doubling down on bad chemistry or taking unfortunately just I mean Frank says he's good at ping pong. I know he's on the line on mute right now, but no one's ever seen him play ping pong before. So, and then you got Papa, who knows what his state is right now, coming off of a Sacco. You know what? We're going to double down. This is actually a move against my team captain.
Ooh, aren't you the team captain? You are the team captain.
Yeah, but we designate like I'm like the head coach. He's like the captain.
He's doing a coup.
Yeah. My number one pick advised me not to take this person because he felt like he was just going to be the last overall pick. But I feel like we got to take him. We're going to go with Ray. We're going to put a little bit of trust in him. We get the combo of David, Willie, and Ray all on the same team.
That is mental. Okay. 8th overall Ray. That is mental gymnastics for Devon going into this Olympics.
I didn't know Ray needed more confidence.
Yeah. Ray has been in the DMs, hyping himself up. Hyping himself up and saying the last 2 years were just an off 2 days, and that he's excited for this year to show what he can do. And so Devon's giving him that chance at 8th overall. Not the person I would have taken, but Ray. Nobody has more self-confidence in his own abilities than Ray does, and we'll see what happens. It could be a great pick for Devon if Ray lives up to the hype that he has set for himself. Otherwise, Devon could have stretched when we know the last 2 players both have strengths in certain categories. Ray,
yeah. Okay. Before this guy keeps on slandering my team, I got something that needs to say. Ray has a clear advantage when it's going to come to with the players remaining. There's no option really because Ray is going to have the advantage over the last 3 when it comes to the tug of war, the beer pong. He's going to be better with the bucket relay. He's going to be better with the flag football. I got to give my team a chance. We got to take a late sleeper on Ray. And plus, if I didn't take him, my inbox would have at least 10 text messages by the end of the night.
Devon once again picking out of a defensive standpoint, not picking for himself.
Yep. So that's the pick. I do see Ray has that, but I would not have picked Ray for your team purely based on the fact that you also have David on your team, and those 2 have been known to butt heads.
I think David might just go drive off a cliff, honestly.
Yeah. But Ray had shown some flashes of being like Pong last year. He was great. Like Ray has shown flashes. If these are seriously the games that he thinks he can thrive in, then this is a great pick. Otherwise, you could be in for a long afternoon. Okay, we're almost wrapping this up. What is left? We have
Papa
Withers and Frank.
Papa Withers and Frank.
This is a very tough call.
This is a tough one, actually. I think both are a little limited mobility-wise. Papa's probably a little better in some skill games. Frankie has hinted
Since there's only 2 left, we can go through what we think.
Oh, yeah.
I personally, I don't know drinking-wise. I played Pong with Papa, and he was very okay. I wouldn't say he was great. Wouldn't say he was bad. Frank, again, wouldn't say he's great. Wouldn't say he's bad. They're quite equal on that. The big strength is, does Jimmy want to focus on what would be like the solo event of ping pong or cornhole? Papa's by far and away the best cornhole player here.
Papa's got some cornhole chops. That's for sure.
Can Jam, Papa not, well, Frank really good with a frisbee, but Can Jam, Papa and I made it to the finals last year on Can Jam too. So it's very up in the air.
Yeah, this is an interesting one too, and they kind of cancel each other out a little bit in flag football.
This is personal. I would both ones you couldn't go wrong with the pick personally. So Jimmy, this is the moment of truth. you get the 9th pick.
I'm looking at this list of events, and I really want to know who the hell is going to be good at foosball.
Yeah, I'm not. So yeah, Jimmy.
Yeah, I gotta go with my boy. I gotta go with Frankie. We shared a car on the ride out. That's my dude. I think I would have been real happy with Papa as well. Papa, what he showed in cornhole. I think both Frank and Papa are pretty solid vibes guys. You know, they're there for the team. They're keep the morale up. But I also don't think either of them are going to play mediator in the just absolute shit house that is Devon's squad right now. That's going to be the crazy house. I can't wait to see what happens there and the drama that unfolds. My pick is in. It is Frankie, and we ride. That's the squad.
Yeah, and that's a great squad.
Also, Papa
Devon,
may be coming off
how
hot
do you
chip.
feel about your 10th final pick? It is Papa Withers.
Listen, we need a veteran presence in the locker room. There's going to be a lot of bickering, a lot of fighting. Even if our team goes down in shambles, it's going to be nice to be just sipping on some peanut butter whiskey and just laughing in the background as our team just implodes in front of us. David is currently just steaming in my DMs that I made a pick that he didn't approve of. But I have a good feeling about our team. I really like where we stand. I think we've got a lot of skill players. I don't think we really focused on a whole lot of athleticism, but I think we took the advantages where we had to, and I think we're going to keep it close.
Yep. Overall, very solid teams on both sides. I would say the starting favorite has to be Jimmy's team, purely based on the athletic talent and the ability of a few of us to drink
and get along.
I think there's a lot more. Devon's got a lot of surprising upside.
He has potential. No, there's a low floor, high ceiling.
We've got a high floor, and I say Devon's got a higher ceiling of people that could surprise you if they all show up on the day, work together as a team, put their differences aside. I think Devon's team could surprise a lot of people. But I'd worry about team chemistry. Devon's just saying, fuck team chemistry. I'm going all in on the gambles. He's a risk taker, unlike his poker playing, where he's the most conservative player of all time.
It's like the first one knocked out of poker.
Yeah, Devon has gone all out.
We're all in. I feel extremely confident. I'm a little worried about standing with flag football, but I have a feeling like we're going to do really well with some of the skill games. And I think we're going to absolutely dominate the duos and solos.
I'm not going to lie, the flag football game is going to be a 40-point blowout.
That's going to be just a massacre. And that also, I'm going to do my best to make sure that game happens early because it's going to drive David absolutely fucking insane.
Because it gets David into the
ultimate. And it gets dark later and teams have practices and whatnot. While we're here, the duos, we don't know the matchups yet. 6v6, we know the teams. Tug of war, what are our predictions?
Tug of war, I would go purely based on the fact we have both Jimmy and Dez. The bigger team, the stronger team, we got the big boys. My personal opinion would be it would be close, but I would go with Team Jimmy.
I think Dez is going to be an absolute anchor in that. I know David will be sure to let everyone know how he can lift a lot more than me, but I think we can hold our own there.
Bucket relay, I would have to go with the niftier team that is Team Devon. I think there's a little more agility on that
nimbleness.
Team, a little less blundering and heavy feet, and so trying to keep water in a bucket. Definitely, I would lean Team Devon. Baseball, drinking wise, it depends on how. Realistically, it depends on how Bobby, David, and Willie show. If Bobby, David, and Willie both all come out and play lights out, then I think they've got a chance. But I think the solid core of me, Jimmy, and Dez, it's going to be a very close battle, and I really think
baseball. I think the teams are fairly even there in terms of both beer pong skill and ability to just inhale alcohol.
Flag football.
I will say,
I really think, as we said this before, this is going to be the one that I think is the biggest blowout.
That's you can put that down.
Jimmy's got size, athleticism, strength. Other than the quarterback, I don't see an issue on anyone else. Ray's going to have to throw the football to David, or David's going to have to throw the football to everyone else and get very frustrated. I see that being a long afternoon for the Devon Withers team.
You don't think QB Willie can read the field?
Yeah. Our team isn't really focused on the flag football. We sort of, if I was worried about the flag football, I probably would have taken Junior over Willie.
Yeah, that's the big spot right there. That's a big difference.
I also would have taken Tom over Bobby if you're worried about the flag football.
What's that, Dev?
No, I took Bobby over Tom for more baseball than anything.
Yeah, so that's why I will say I almost took Bobby at pick 3 over Dez specifically for baseball, knowing if you get a hot Bobby, he's as good as anyone.
Yeah, I'm taking Bobby purely for that, and then I also think what I was going to ask Jimmy. I feel like I know the answer, but had I taken, let's say, Frank with 8, and you had your choice between Ray and Papa, would you have taken Ray or Papa in that situation?
You know the answer.
Okay. Yeah, because David is steaming that I didn't take Frank because he thinks Frank's some god at ping pong. I'm almost just going to play ping pong myself and absolutely.
I will say, I almost.
Next step is the duos. We're going to go duos. I would say beer pong.
We don't know the pairings yet, do we? We can hypothesize now, but
I'm going to guess.
Okay, Robbie's best guesses.
The duos beer pong guess. It's got to be in my opinion, Bobby and David versus Jimmy and Robbie. And those are to me is the natural pick for beer pong.
You're gonna bench. Wait, who's
Des can rock beer pong too.
David and Bobby.
And yours?
Jimmy and Robbie.
We could throw Des in beer pong too. We have 3 good options, Robbie.
Yeah, we have 3 good options for two things.
Yeah.
So does everyone? How many people play? How many duos do you play?
You can play in 2 events. You have to play in 2, no more, no
Each
less.
Each person is in 2 events.
Between any of the duo events and any of the solo events.
Do you have to play in 2 or
each duo is in 2 events. Those events, I'm assuming we'll do best 2 out of 3, depending on the thing we can.
Yeah. I would assume so.
Yeah.
So ping pong for us is easy. It's Frank. Frank's our ping pong guy. We got Frank for ping pong. We got Frank for can.
We got Frankie. Yep.
Our team actually has I'm not going to reveal who quite yet, but
Willie.
I scouted a little bit in the off season, and we do have a ping pong secret weapon that I was able to reach a little bit on.
Okay.
Willie.
So that's Ray.
That's Willie.
Ray.
That's Willie.
No, it's definitely not Ray because Ray told me that.
It's Willie.
Okay.
I will say, Robbie, we did draft Frank for ping pong. That being said, I could probably win ping pong too.
I've seen Frank play ping pong, and I have to say I was very impressed. Okay. He was even messing around with the Chinese style just because he was beating everybody.
Oh, the pencil grip?
Yeah, he was even doing that just to mess with people.
Oh yeah, well versed in the pencil grip.
The air hockey, I think we could do something else other than air hockey. That's kind of.
We can. That honestly, that's not set in stone. I don't think that changes the draft.
Overall, I think we did a great job.
Oh, Robbie, we got to go run through. Give me your cornhole foosball pool predictions.
Okay, foosball. I have no idea.
I don't fucking know. You and Bobby know how to play soccer.
You just know it has nothing to do.
I'm well aware, but.
Can Jam, Frank. I would do in Can Jam. I would do the combination of me and Bobby, me and Frank. Frank can throw a frisbee. Or Jimmy, somebody athletic plus Frank. I think Frank's a lock for Can Jam.
Yep.
I've seen the man throw a frisbee. He could put it anywhere he wants to. Frank versus somebody. Can Jam otherwise. On the other side, I don't know. Willie can. I struggle to see. Brian Withers was pretty good at Can Jam. I have to say, Papa Withers was a great partner to have at Can Jam. He's also a lock for cornhole. I think it's a pretty safe lock for cornhole that you should do Brian Withers and David for cornhole, or Brian Withers and Devon for cornhole, versus Tom's got to be in cornhole because he's just going to talk and talk and talk and talk. I can't remember how good Junior was, but maybe Junior plays or Jimmy plays.
Junior's skilled enough to do pretty much any of these, I feel like.
Another one, Pool is another one that's kind of hard to know who's going to be good. I'm okay. I'm pretty decent. So
I can certainly hold my own in pool.
Yeah, everyone can kind of play 2 games. We'll put our heads together as a team. We'll get the feeling out on both teams should get together, create a group chat, see which players feel comfortable doing it.
Team Devon, you guys have a pool ringer in there too?
Oh, we do. You're actually talking to him right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty good at pool too. So
I can tell you. I'll tell you, Jimmy. I'll tell you what 2 events I'm competing in. If you want to tell me what 2 events you're going to compete in.
Yeah,
obviously
go
it's
ahead.
not set in stone.
I'll be honest, nothing's set in stone. I'll tell you what I have an idea of, but yeah, go right ahead.
Okay. I think that right now, based off, like I said, not set in stone, but I drafted with the intention of me competing in both cornhole and pool.
Okay, that's reasonable. Yeah, so my thought process, I'm expecting myself to be in pool. I think that's the most likely one. The other one is going to be either beer pong or can jam, most likely. Possibly cornhole, but I don't think so. I think it's going to be beer pong or can jam and then pool. That's my guess for me. If it shakes out and that, depending on the ping pong comp, it sounds like, I trust Frankie. I did some research myself, talked to Frankie. Frankie was pretty modest about his ping pong talents, but I kind of took that as he's actually pretty good. So, but the backup plan is also I'll do that if need be. But I believe in Frankie.
The one reason I didn't draft Frank as well is just because based off of my pre-draft interview with Willie, when Willie and Frank were Can Jam partners, Frank is phenomenal at throwing a frisbee, but what Willie mentioned is Frank on the other end, when he has to slap the frisbee into the actual Can Jam thing, a little bit of a liability.
And talk to me about Willie's ping pong game.
All I can say is we have a secret ringer when it comes to ping pong.
It's Willie. We know it's Willie. Just talk about it.
Oh, we have Junior. Never mind.
It's Willie.
Yeah,
talk to me.
That's all I can say.
That's all right.
It's not David. I've seen David play, and he's very okay.
David's fine. David can hold his own. I'm not anything special.
A lot of people can hold their own, but I don't know who they're.
And then you run into a good person, and you're screwed.
Okay, boys. We're gonna wrap it up there. That's a hell of a draft.
That's a wrap.
We've got 2 great teams. Well worth the listen for anybody who's going, and hopefully we can make this a semi-regular thing where we can kind of get going and dig into the different tendencies throughout the year of both Dynasty, redraft, and kind of going from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And anyone's welcome to come on and be a guest, or we can even hold kind of like an open call-in segment in this Discord channel at some point. Everything's on the table, and would love to get more people, more insight, more perspectives on here moving forward.
Definitely, hell of a time, boys, and I'm looking forward to July and
Poconos 23, baby.
Through and making sure that the Giants play in the Super Bowl and maybe win the Super Bowl.
They might not win the Super Bowl, Robbie, but you're winning the number 1 pick.
The most bets on in the last week of teams to win the Super Bowl would be the New York Giants. So watch out, baby. We're coming. Sure as hell ain't gonna be the Cowboys.
More importantly, we hope the Cowboys lose. We thank you guys for listening. All right, we'll wrap that up there. Take care, guys.
Yeah. Have a great night, everybody.